was thinking about it. Now watch the feet there, but where's the ball? It never crossed that line and get on the 20.
Which, as we know, is a line in perpetuity.
Yes, it
circles
goes on
the
forever
globe.
and ever and ever. I've crossed it all over the world, that goal line.
Have you? Remember what is most exciting?
Just outside London. I kind of stumbled over it.
I thought Karachi was at the first out and 10. Hostetler. Overthrown and incomplete for James Jett. Coverage by Aaron Glenn that time, number 31. Last year's number 1 pick. Well, the Raiders up 17-0. They had to punt on their first possession of the night, but then back-to-back touchdowns. And most recently a field goal that gave them a 17-0 lead. Is now 17-3.
Well, you know, they are spreading it around again. I think that you've seen a little bit of everything. They're still taking the old Raider shots. They've thrown 3 deep balls, and then they come back and they run the ball and they throw some timing passes. It is a new offense.
Kaufman. Good job by Eric Howard. Eric Howard, who was another of the former New York Giants, came as an unrestricted free agent and playing a position with which he is totally unfamiliar.
Left defensive end, and he told us this week, he said, I've been playing inside a defensive tackle for 10 years. He said, I'm a little concerned about going out there. You have to guard a lot more space or defend a lot more space as a defensive end. But boy, he has been a good run stopper for his entire 10-year career.
Out of Washington State. 3rd and 10. 6:20 to go before halftime. Blitz threatened by Mo Lewis. Nope. They stunt defensively. Hostetler scrambles. Ball's loose. Jets have it.
Got what they know. They call him down.
They're going to say down. And at the ground. Caused the fumble.
The runner is down by contact.
The Eric Howard, we just talked about him, number 74. He is a guy that's going to give you a full day's work. First, he runs through kind of Greg Strepanek, good protection, but he doesn't quit. Doesn't give it, stays with it.
Oh.
The ball was fumbled, and that was a fumble. That was a fumble. They dodged it.
Dexter Carter takes the punt at the 15-yard line. I think that was a fumble.
It was a fumble, and that was the breaks the Jets really needed.
Take another look at it. Was Hostetler down?
No, the ball's out before his knee was down. That is a fumble. Should have been Jets' ball there.
Time has been called.
I believe he fumbled the ball. And we're going to watch his left knee, and then you can see his ball come out. There's his left knee. The ball is already coming out, and he has not hit the ground yet. That should have been a fumble. It was recovered by the Jets, and they should have the ball around the Raider 30-yard line.
First down and 10. They don't. Here's Esiason with a handoff. Morrell up the middle. Ankle tackled at the 34-yard line. The stop is made by Derek Hoskins, number 20, but a good bit of running from Adrian Morrell.
One of the few times the Raider defense has given up a run this season down the middle. I mean, when you have Chester McLaughlin and you have Jerry Ball and Greg Beaker at the middle linebacker, they're pretty tough down the middle. But a good cutback run. It looked like actually Robbins overran it. A good cutback run by Morrell, and pick up the first.
He's got 30 yards on 7 carries now. Offset high this time. Esiason with an audible. Morrell again. Oh, boy! Eddie Anderson saved the touchdown.
Ouch, ouch. When he was tackled, I mean, Eddie Anderson went high, and that's what the Jets are upset about, to the back of his neck, and Morrell had a very awkward fall after that tackle. But twice in a row, he has popped through the initial wave of defenders. First time it was over the center, this time off tackle. The stop and Stetter, but watch it at the end of this run what happens. He takes a really awkward fall as Eddie Anderson grabs him from the back of the neck. That's a clean tackle, nothing illegal there. Actually, he gets, and I thought he was going to hurt both of his knees.
Right. Game 24, Esiason play action.
Yes.
No contact. James Folston, number 55. Boomer thinks there might have been a little bit of physical contact there. Let's take a look now at the Lee Sport scoreboard for action today.
How about that Kansas City game? The run that Steve Bono had.
76
yards for a touchdown.
Longest run ever by a quarterback?
For a touchdown, yes.
What was your longest run?
About 3 yards, but it was for safety.
Caught from behind?
Yes.
The toss left, Morrell. Right face Walker. And Morrell pancakes the defender. And the Jets move it inside the 35.
Okay, one thing about these Jet wide receivers, they block. We saw it from Crabette earlier. That time, Charles Wilson, number 89, came down on a crackback block, and he really gave the initial block that allowed Adrian Morrell to get outside. So the wide receivers are very much involved in the blocking scheme of these Jets. What they really need to do is get them downfield as receivers, though.
4 minutes remaining in the first half. 17-3. It'll be 3rd down and 3. And time has been called by Boomer Esiason. That's the first for the New York Jets, and they've got 2 remaining. Oakland has used 2 of its. Well, next week we're heading up to New England to take on the
change of leaves.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, huh?
Yeah. Next week it's I know what it is.
Watching John Elway there, he had the late game touchdown pass to beat Washington. Washington beats the Cowboys today. I mean, just think of the year that Washington could have had.
You saw the replay of Troy Aikman's strained calf.
Yeah.
Wasn't that bizarre?
Funny, was not even hit.
No,
just kind of dropped back and just grabbed his calf.
And I saw some mention that he thinks he might be out a couple of weeks, 3 weeks from now. Yeah. 3rd and 3. Charles Wilson in motion. Esiason incomplete.
Oh,
Crabette
twice.
McLaughlin all over Esiason.
Yeah, and Chester McLaughlin has a habit of doing that. He is strong, he has speed, and he has incredible power. He is number 91. And for a big guy, he weighs 320 pounds, he has got a great first couple of steps. Now, he and Carlton Hasselrig, number 63, that's a good matchup of NFL strongmen. Hasselrig is strong as they come as offensive guards, and Chester McLaughlin, a pretty strong guy.
Nick Lowry has hit more field goals in excess of 50 yards. Second most in NFL history behind Morton Anderson. He's going to have a chance to try one here with a field goal effort of maybe 51 or 52 yards. See where they spot it. Coming out of halftime, the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. Vince Cellini has the no-huddle highlights, a fast-paced look at the big plays of the day. Plus, Vince will be joined in the studio by Mark May, Warren Moon, and Kevin Kiley. And having called the timeout.
Well, you go over practice a little bit, don't you?
Yes, but
yes.
Richie Kotite has changed his mind. He's sending the offense back out.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad call. You're a 1-3 team right now. You're really fighting it for respectability, trying to put a team together, trying to get guys to play together. I like the call. And it is, let's be honest, it's not a Super Bowl team.
Right. 2 of 4 on 4th down conversions in this young season. And a 4th and 3 now, trailing by 14 with under 4 minutes to go in the half. Stunts by the defensive line. Ball is batted down by Pat Swilling.
Boy, he has done everything this first down. And we have seen power rushes, speed rushes, and that time he just kind of stopped right there and batted the ball down.
Well, Jeff Hostetler comes in with the Raiders, and he talked a little bit about the Raider mystique.
Well, that Raider mystique comes back as soon as you start winning, and that's the whole key. The Raiders of old were a team that won big ball games, and I think that's what we want to get back. We want to get back that tough, physical, dominating, winning football attitude.
They're going deep. Rocket Ismail has it inside the 20 at the 18. They beat Vance Joseph.
Sooner or later, they're going to play like the Raiders of old. I mean, they played like the Raiders of new in the short, rhythmic type of passes. But they're always looking for the play that'll break your back. And they've got the quarterback who can throw it, and they've got the track team that can catch it. 48 yards on the pass and catch.
First down at the 18-yard line. Harvey Williams caught and dropped after a yard gain.
You know, they're one of the, we talked about it, the muscle and then the deep ball. I mean, remember Joe Bugel's teams when he was coaching the offensive line with the Redskins? They were like that. Joe Gibbs was the head coach. The Cowboys give you a little bit of that, and they give you a lot of ways they can beat you. There's Joe. I mean, they can beat you with those long bombs. They can grind it out. They can protect the lead. They can also win on defense and I think win on special teams. This is a very good and talented Raider team.
And they have a second down and 9 with 2.5 to go in the first half. Into the corner, Tim Brown. They got Joseph. Touchdown. There's also a flag down, but the flag may be inconsequential.
It's not fair for Vance Joseph to be going through this tonight, Vern. The man has never in his entire life played defensive back, and he's got to go against, on this play, Tim Brown. He beat him on the first step.
Number 43 defense, penalty decline, touchdown.
Yeah, it was pass interference, and still the great concentration and the catch by Brown. But Vance Joseph is being asked to do some things that, quite honestly, he's just not capable of doing just yet. Just learned how to back up as a defensive back a few months ago.
Tim Brown gets the touchdown. Cole Ford's on to try the extra point. Well, that was quick. After the missed fourth down play, 3 plays. The highlight, a 48-yard pass from Hostetler to Rocket Ismail, and then the touchdown, Hostetler to Tim Brown.
And this was 80% catch because Tim Brown, this ball was thrown a little bit late because of the rush. And Joseph is making up some speed there, and he interferes with him. Incredible concentration, and then strong hands. Good receivers have strong hands. You know, they don't just seem to bounce out of them. So there's a guy that has been, you know, everybody talks so much about Jerry Rice and Michael Irvin and Sterling Sharp and all those guys. You know, the long pass to the other receiver, Ismail, set the play up, the touchdown play. And this is the Raiders of old. They may have left Los Angeles, but they're still doing this. And this is what people fear when you play them. Again, that was on Vance Joseph. Not satisfied, they come back and throw the touchdown pass to Tim Brown on Vance Joseph.
Victor Green on the left, and the erstwhile backup quarterback from the University of Colorado. He's playing tonight because Otis Smith is out with an injury, and Carl Greenwood, who was listed as the backup at that position, had an eating problem earlier.
Out with a bad diet, believe it or not. Vern, would you mind keeping track of the play clock?
I'll count down.
Would you please?
Yep. I count backwards well.
Okay. Well, Cole Ford, the kicker for the Raiders, knows that this is a limited role for him, although he's making the most of it. I mean, he has had a real nice couple of games in lieu of Jeff Jager, who's injured. They expect him back, I think, still in another week or two.
Nice kickoff. Dexter Carter, 5 yards back. That'll be a touchback and come out to the 20-yard line.
Cole Ford will find a new job if the Raiders don't want him, because he is kicking off exceptionally well, and he's been very strong in the field goal department for him, too.
Well, place kickers are kind of like baseball managers.
Keep moving around.
Once you get inside the tent, there always seems to be a job.
That is the truth.
It's getting into the tent that's a problem. Well, Vance Joseph, Kenny Rose, the special teams coach, talking with the rookie cornerback. Kenny Rose, who took an invitation to retire this year and join Richie Gottheit's staff. First down and 10. Into the flat, caught by
Vern, you can't win in the NFL, I don't think, on a regular basis unless you have some game breakers and some guys who can get you 40, 50 yards. Unless your defense is going to give you the ball 5, 6 times turnovers, and the Jets don't have that yet. Richie Kotite is looking for that kind of mix. And, you know, Esiason's got new wide receivers, new backs, 3 new offensive linemen. And that is not the mix of a good offensive football team while they're still getting accustomed to one another.
2-minute warning. And then at the end of the conversation, a nice hug.
Yeah. It's, I'm not sure it's entirely fair to him.
Yeah.
To expect him to cover these guys when he's never done it before.
2nd down and 10. Esiason. Hell, that one picked off the official, got the umpire. I mean, hit him right in the neck.
And that's a substitute umpire, isn't it?
Ed Kukart.
Yeah. The regular umpire with this crew.
Ed Fiffick.
Yeah, Ed Fiffick is out with some rib injuries, I understand. To the left side of the screen. Boom, he was open. You got to get those hands up, though. You know, you can't catch the ball with the hands at the side. Boomer can't believe it. Now, you know, the umpires have come into play a couple times for the Raiders this year. Remember against Kansas City, the umpire got in the way of Tim Brown.
Right.
He thought caused an interception in overtime.
On 3rd down, watch out.
Could get ugly here. Aaron Wallace, number 51, comes to the very top of the screen. Beats Malamala. And again, there's not a lot Boomer Esiason can do. They're coming at you in waves, these Raiders in the pass.
Ryan Hansen, this will be returned. Tim Brown at the 47. And we've got 91 seconds remaining in the first half. The Raiders have the ball at the 46-yard line. And there's a flag on the play against the Raiders. That was the
Ineligible downfield, number 51 kicking team. Penalty declined, 1st down.
Jets, not Raiders. 6 days to Sunday on November 8th. TNT will take NFL fans where they've never been before. Don't miss 6 days to Sunday. A unique behind-the-scenes look at 2 teams heading for a Sunday night showdown. It premieres Wednesday, November 8th on TNT.
I don't know about the days before, but the Sunday part of it was a pretty good game.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Overtime.
Dallas wins overtime on Emmitt Smith's run.
1st down and 10. Harvey Williams to the 42. Raiders are out of timeouts. Coming up, the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. Warren Moon with the weekend off will be in the studio with Vince and Mark and Kevin Kiley. 2nd down 8. Oops, incomplete. Kerry Cash, the tight end, number 88. Stops the clock with a 3rd down and 8.
And the Raiders have 2 tight ends that they can play pretty well for. One of them is Kerry Cash, number 88 right there. More the receiver type. And that Andrew Glover, the other tight end, already caught a touchdown pass in this game, who's a blocker type. Can be a dominating blocker. They have a nice mix with their tight ends.
Third and 8. And the Jets are coming. Mo Lewis. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just when they needed a play from the defense, you know Mo Lewis is going to come up with it. You talk about a guy being versatile. I mean, last week against Atlanta, they asked him to play defensive end, and Hostetler comes limping off. But number 57 is going to come slipping up and sneaking up in the hole, and he times the blitz pretty well. Hits the gap, gets through the back, then gets to the quarterback. And Hostetler got up limping from that hit, that shot. But, you know, it's one thing to blitz. It's the other to time it right and then defeat the block of the back. And that is just what Mo Lewis III did on that one.
And Jeff Hostetler over on the Raider bench in pain. Third sack by the Jets. Despite the score on the board, 24-3. You recognize this young man, right?
I'll tell you, he's been in the league for about, I think, since 1869 when the game was still first invented. That's old Vince Evans. Played college football with Vince, believe it or not. 16 years in the NFL. Surprisingly, about the backup quarterbacks in the National Football League, how little experience there is around the league, Vern.
And again, we have seen it time and time again how important that backup role is for the Cowboys today. Wade Wilson had to come off the bench. Troy Aikman out with an injury. On fourth down, here's Jeff Gossett to punt. Dexter Carter back to return it. Nice and high. Wow.
Man. And you can't blame that on coaching. You know Rich Kotite is going to take some grief for this performance, but that's just awful special teams. Awful. Well, your team needs it. You know, you've just stopped them. You forced the punt. And Dexter Carter has done that. I mean, has caught a lot of punts over his years that went right through the proverbial breadbasket. And there were a host of Raiders playing some pretty good special teams tonight. And they're going to have another chance at it. 51 is Aaron Wallace. James Trapp down there again. Dan Land, 25. Whole bunch of guys. No timeouts, though.
Hostetler comes back on the field. 43 seconds to go. They've got the ball at the 16. Looking right with time. Now he has to run out of the pocket.
Should have gotten out of bounds. Should have gotten out of bounds.
Clock will continue to run. It's now at 30 seconds.
You know, it's easy to rally around Jeff Hostetler, though. You know, a couple plays before he gets hurt. And I think this is why offensive players and defensive teammates like Jeff Hostetler. He is one tough guy.
Left side, Tim Brown. Out of bounds at the 6.
Yeah, so they have to give Vance Joseph some help, Vern. I'm sorry. You know, give the poor man some help. Get some help over the top. Wide side of the field, number 81 is Tim Brown. He can catch the ball deep, he can catch the ball short, and then when he catches it, he usually do something with it afterwards. Picking on Vance Joseph. We said at the very beginning of this show, the Raiders knew he was playing there, and they were going to work on it. And they have done that in this first half.
Tim Brown has caught 6 now for 78 yards and a touchdown. It's Darryl Hobbs who wind up left this time. Darryl Hobbs. Incomplete. Vance Joseph.
Vance, I mean, that's one for you, Vance. That's one for you. And you deserve one every now and then. But they're going to continue to work on him, and he continues to go man on man. This time with Darryl Hobbs. It's the fade route, the same route that Tim Brown scored on earlier. But Joseph does a good job that time. And the Raiders do a good job of picking up Mo Lewis, who before had given Hostetler a tough time. That time, Harvey Williams stayed up and got a piece of it.
Second and goal. Backs are split. 11 seconds to go. They go in the left side for Hobbs. Touchdown over Vance Joseph.
Sorry, Vance. Sorry, Vance.
That's almost painful.
It is. I mean, I know he's got some athletic ability, Vern, but there are dozens of guys who have played defensive corner in the league available. And, you know, to put him out there is a travesty. The guy just is not ready to play corner, particularly against guys like Tim Brown, this time Darryl Hobbs, and that was just a change of pace. They faked the fade, and then they kind of ran us out pass.
Cole Ford's extra point is up and through.
Well, this is a confidence builder for the Raiders. And Jeff Hostetler said, hey, we are ready to break out. We are ready to explode, he told us yesterday. Well, they have done that here in the first half with 31 points. And they give it to Tim Brown for a touchdown. Darryl Hobbs gets this touchdown. Andrew Glover, a tight end's got another one. Ismail's been involved. They have gotten all their offensive players involved in these 31 points in the first half.
Young man who played backup quarterback at the University of Colorado, pressed into service on a night that he will never forget. Been a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, you love to see his teammates at least tell him to keep his chin up. I mean, I love to see that to a guy who's having a very difficult night. I mean, those are good guys who are doing that to Vance Joseph. Oh, boy.
31-3 with 8 seconds to go. This last touchdown set up by the muff on the punt from Dexter Carter. And Cole Ford getting ready to kick off again. Dexter Carter is back to return it, along with Ron Carpenter. That's taken short by Kyle Brady. And he gets out of bounds at the 40-yard line with 2 seconds to go. And another little struggle erupts. I'm sure frustration is a part of this.
Well, Richie Kotite, his team down 31-3. You know, he's kind of an upbeat guy. Richie Kotite, he's as optimistic as, you know, an infomercial host. You know,
How optimistic
well,
is
you know,
that?
he's an upbeat guy. I mean, you've seen all those infomercial guys that host these shows, you know, selling. They're very
I need to talk
peppy.
to you about what you're doing with your leisure time.
Very peppy. But this has to be a disgusting first half.
It has been a tough one. We've reached halftime. 31-3. Oakland leads the New York Jets.
You can see all those things. It has been equally bad for Vance Joseph, the corner for the Jets.
Victim of 2 touchdown passes in the first half. Those came in the second quarter. Here's Carter returning the kickoff, and he gets out near the 30-yard line, tackled at the 25. Joe King makes the stop, number 31. Boomer Esiason, who among the misfortunes that befell the Jets in the first half, had a bobble on a center snap, and that led to one of the touchdowns.
Well, I still maintain Boomer Esiason can play this game effectively, but he cannot carry this team. And he's much like Vance Joseph has been asked to carry or do too much on defense. I think Boomer has been asked to do too much with this offensive team.
Backs are split. Play action on first down. That one is caught. Curtis Caesar, number 88. Oh, no, Charles Wilson, beg your pardon, number 89. It's Wilson makes the catch.
Number 89, Charles Wilson, whom the Jets feel is a good receiver after the catch, but also just getting used to Boomer Esiason. The timing in the field between receiver and quarterback. He just came here before the week of their first regular season game.
Came here from Tampa, where he played for Sam White. Here's Esiason. That one's caught by Crevette. And that'll be good for a first down inside the 45-yard line. Derek Hoskins makes the tackle.
Think about these Raider defensive backs. All of them will really tag you after the catch. I mean, Eddie Anderson, we've seen a lot of that. You know, McDaniel can do it. Albert Lewis, Derek Hoskins. I mean, they have a very good defensive line, experienced defensive backs, and a good young, fast linebackers.
First and 10 now for the Jets. Back to the eye. Farrell.
Right into the catch for him. Oh, somebody was supposed to trap block him, but they couldn't get there. He's that quick. And, you know, the Jets said they were going to put a tight end over him and try to run at him. Well, they haven't done that in this game this far, but this is why you want to put a big guy over him, because he is so quick upfield. See, I think the guard was supposed to trap him, but no way are you going to get there before Pat Swilling gets to the ball carrier.
And notice this time he was lined up at the left end.
Yep.
It's kind of his call, isn't it?
Yeah, he was saying last night to us, hey, it's my call whether I line up at left end or right end, or stand up or get in a stance.
And he's at left end again here. Beeker threatens to blitz. He's not coming. Esiason lets it go off Corbett, incomplete.
Well,
and that causes Boomer to turn around and shake his head. It's Wilson, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, perfect throw. Perfect throw there. And these are the ones that define you as a receiver. Catching the ball over the middle when you know a free safety's coming down to give you a smack like Eddie Anderson was. And those are the ones you have to catch, make a guy miss, and then maybe you go the distance. But it has not been the Jets' night for wide receivers.
3rd and 13. This time Esiason has time, and he finds Wilson inside the 30 and out of bounds at the 26.
That was a nice little route there by Charles Wilson. Good protection for one of the few times for this evening for Esiason. Had plenty of time to find Charles Wilson. Kind of ran a double move. He is at the top of the screen, number 89. Corbett is 80, is in the slot. And again, the catch-up speed there by Terry McDaniel can't quite get there in time, so that was a well-designed play, but it really started with very good pass protection by the Jet offensive line.
Gain of 19 and a first down on 3rd and 13. Morrell and Baxter in an offset eye this time. Anderson comes up to force the run. Morrell still running to the 11.
There were a lot of guys locking up on those Raiders, including wide receivers. Good blocking by the offensive line. Good blocking. I think it was Charles Wilson who had a pretty good block on his guy as well. And Adrian Morrell makes the most of it. Morrell is a guy that is not particularly fond of a moniker he has of being a change of pace back. Wants to be an every down back, and he's had some pretty good runs here in this first half. See the blocking by the wide receiver though, Vern? And that's good blocking. I don't know if Wilson.
Wilson, 73 yards now for Morrell on 11 carries. He gets the handoff again, cuts inside the Baxter block and goes to the 5-yard line. Might have gotten to the 4. Tackle made by Derek Hoskins, number 20.
Well, they are running at Pat Swilling, and even though they are not putting a tight end over him, they're getting a big back on him. I think it was Brad Baxter that time who got a hit on him. And then a nice cutback run by Adrian Morrell. I mean, he's got a pretty good vision for a big back at 215 pounds. He's got some pretty good vision and cutback ability.
2nd and 4 from the 5. 31-3. Baxter in motion. Quick setup into the end zone, incomplete. Intended for Kyle Brady, the tight end.
Yeah, this is where a guy who is 6'6" can be a tremendous advantage to a quarterback. You have to play in there strong. You really have to post up. It's like a basketball play. Big stretch, can't get the left, well, he gets the left hand on, just can't hang on. He was kind of slowing down, and I think Esiason thought he was going to keep moving. And again, that is that communication, that subtle communication between quarterback and receiver. They just don't have it yet, Brian.
3rd and 4 from the 5. Esiason, there he goes.
They even fumbled, too.
Andre Bruce, number 99. Another of those who has found redemption in a Raider uniform.
They may have moved to Oakland, but no, I guess they're back to their Oakland days.
Yeah, this looks like the Raiders
vintage,
in the 70s.
Yeah, you mentioned Andre Bruce. He was the number 1 pick, the entire number 1 pick. He is number 99, who was putting some. He's in the top. This side is Pat Swilling, 56. 99's at the top on Malamala. Escapes him. He just held on the ball an awfully long time. But Andre Bruce, the number 1 pick, the entire draft in 1988, people thought he was a bust. Absolute bust out of Auburn. And again, he has been a good pass rusher.
Number 56, defense, half the distance from the dead ball spot, automatic first down.
On Pat Swilling.
Yep. Yeah. Mike White got the nice California tan going, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Knows what kind of wine goes with halibut. He does. Look at him. He's a Northern California guy.
Okay, which kind does?
I'm not a wine connoisseur. You are. You tell me. Some sort of Chardonnay, I assume, right? But Mike knows. He knows those things.
Mike does know those things?
Yeah, he's a Northern California guy.
Yeah, he's back home. Everett McIver is checked in as an eligible receiver. The ball in the end zone is caught by Brady. Touchdown. Kyle Brady, the 9th pick in the draft this year.
And then that's a strong catch by Kyle Brady. I mean, that was not an easy catch to make, and he really had to gather that ball and grab it. I mean, it was kind of a funny throw away from his body. That was a very good adjustment by Kyle Brady. Against Mike Jones, a good coverage linebacker, number 52. Sison throws that ball early, as you can see, before he was even looking. That's a good throw and a good catch.
Brady gives the Jets their first touchdown of the night. Nick Lowry's on for the extra point.
Yeah, Kyle Brady, all 6'6" of him, makes himself a very big target. Fights the ball away from Mike Jones, and they get their first touchdown, 31-10. Oh.
Anchored in the Hudson River in Midtown Manhattan. Underneath those lights, the USS Intrepid, a retired aircraft carrier, now a Navy museum, one of the sites if you come to New York City. Some of the folks who came inside this thing would like to get over there right now.
Literally wonderful to be with you, Vern. Travel log of experiences.
I'm still trying to find the wine for the halibut.
We're going to get you a lift. You're kind of a wine guy. You probably know.
Well, I'm just only kind of a wine guy. Don't give me that reputation. I'm fighting hard enough as it is. Time is out. That is the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan. 31-10. Oakland leading the Jets. And let's go back and take a look at Boomer Esiason on that touchdown pass.
Yeah, and he really paid a price for this thing. He takes a pretty big shot from Folston, number 55. I mean, and even sometimes when you throw touchdown passes, it's still a long day and a frustrating day when your team still trails 31-10. And so even the good plays feel bad sometimes.
Glenn Foley, whose former coach Tom Coughlin won his first game in the NFL today. Congratulations to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matter of fact, the only New York Jet win this year was over Jacksonville. On the line to Tim Brown. Vance Joseph in the area, victimized for 2 touchdown catches in the first half. And for Tim Brown, that's 8 catches now for 90 yards.
You know, Tim Brown is the quintessential complete receiver because he'll block. I mean, he'll work the middle with toughness and aggressiveness. He has speed to go deep, as we've seen tonight. I mean, he does a little bit of everything for these Raiders as a wide receiver.
And he has gone beyond 5,000 yards. Puts him in pretty good company with the Oakland Los Angeles Raiders. Harvey Williams gets the carry here. Saw that quartet that Tim Brown joins.
Well, we talked to a bunch of the Raiders about moving back to Oakland, and they really think, particularly for their defensive players, it has made a big difference. I mean, the crowd has really been in it like they didn't have in Los Angeles. And there's John Fox, the defensive coordinator. But for the defensive guys, they think it's been a big lift.
Well, and Timmy Brown said yesterday that he's responding to the crowd at the Coliseum and doing things he's never done in a football uniform in the NFL before, like appealing to the crowd for more noise and such. Oh, Aaron Glenn had it. Whoa.
Aaron Glenn hasn't been worked on too much tonight. I think that is only the second pass thrown his way. They threw the ball deep to his side once, and Richie Kotite said, hey, Aaron Glenn can play this game. He is as good a corner as I have seen, and he had Eric Allen. Now, first look at the cushion. That, ladies and gentlemen, is respect for speed. And that's on Ismail. Ismail slips a little bit. That gives him an opportunity to make up the play. But they have not been testing Aaron Glenn. Instead, they've been working on Vance Joseph.
3rd and 8. 31-10. Oakland leads it. Hostetler right side, Tim Brown. Here goes Tim Brown. One man to beat. Can't beat him. Touchdown.
And he's also good after the catch. 66 yards on the pass and run. And the new Raiders. I mean, we've seen the deep throws. We know with the Ismail, that one for, I don't know, 55 yards, I think. And this one was really a short throw. It was only about 15 yards, but he turned it into a 66-yard touchdown run after a catch. They can beat you so many ways. And Vance Joseph is just so happy that was not he on that one.
9 catches, 156 yards for Tim Brown now. And Cole Ford on for the extra point. That one is blocked. That is the only thing that's gone wrong tonight. I have a feeling we may be in need of company before this game is over.
I'm going to give you some. I'm not leaving. But watch, again, he breaks a tackle. He breaks the tackle of Marcus Turner, and then it's a foot race. And when you get in foot races with Raider receivers, you generally lose.
Time is called. Realize that you and I are men of average height.
This is why I get out of the game. Guys like Bubba Smith.
We are joined by Bubba Smith, who, by the way, has a major role in Police Academy 3 that'll be seen after the game tonight on TNT. Bubba, we promised that we would not bail out of this game to start your movie early, but I'm thinking right now it'd be a good idea.
It might be a good idea now.
How's the acting career going?
So far, so good.
You know, you were a part of the Raider history back in the 70s. You played with them a couple of years.
Played 2 years with them, and what I like about them now is that Heisman thing with Rocket and Tim Brown.
That's not bad.
You were also part of Jet history, too, playing that first Super Bowl with Super Bowl III. What are your memories of that one?
Well, Pat, I didn't think you'd even bring that up.
I'm sorry, Bubba. I'm sorry, please. Vern told me to.
Treat him nicely, will you?
We got killed. We got killed.
You know, it's funny, Bubba. We were talking with John Dockery, who's a colleague of ours in broadcasting, of course, and played in that game for the Jets. He was reminding us that I guess they moved Dave Herman out on you in that game.
Well,
you want to talk about something else? How's the acting career going?
Again.
Well, it's going pretty well. My big thing right now is I'm opening 40 Arby's in the Baltimore area, and I'm pretty happy about that.
It sounds like you've carved out a very successful post-football career.
Yeah, and it's going to give a lot of kids a chance to go to college because we're giving away 2 scholarships every year.
Where are you living?
L.A.
In L.A.?
But I'm moving back to Baltimore for 6 months out of the year.
Mm-hmm. As you watch this game tonight, how much different, how much has it changed since you played defensive end in the league? 4 defensive ends, do you think?
Well, they don't have the advantage of a head slap. They can't use that, and the offensive linemen are able to extend their hands, which makes it bad. Yeah. I mean, it was all set up to get more scoring.
Might you demonstrate the head slap on Vern?
I was going to volunteer, and I'll bet you this. I'll bet you Bubba Smith knows what kind of wine goes with halibut.
Yeah, he probably does.
Now, this is unfair. You didn't realize, but Pat's swearing he doesn't know.
It's got to be Chardonnay.
Well, I don't drink, so yeah. I don't even know what kind of wine that is.
All right.
Well, listen, we'll enjoy seeing you in Police Academy 3 after the football game tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bubba.
I really appreciate what y'all do.
Continued success to you. Thanks, Bubba. 37-10, 8 minutes to go in the third quarter of play. Wayne Crabette was the injured player who was assisted off. Charles Wilson in motion, Esiason back. There's Ryan Yarbrough, number 87. His 3rd catch of the season. .7:45 to go in the third quarter.
Well, you know, we saw Jacksonville last year, and you know, some things, or last week, excuse me, and about some things they can build on.
It seems like last year.
Some things they can build on. There's not a lot. I think the Jets can feel good about tonight. They have not played well in special teams. The defense has given up 37 points, and their offense has only had 1 touchdown.
That one, oh boy, Derek Hoskins almost picked it off, intended for Yarbrough. Hoskins, number 20. And the punting unit comes on. But it's not going to get much easier for the Jets either. They've got to go to Buffalo next week.
These Raider defensive backs, I'll tell you, they always rally to the football. The corners play a lot of bump and run. They jam receivers. And the strong safety plays like a linebacker. And then the free safety, Derek Hoskins, just makes up ground like that.
Tim Brown, who has had a memorable evening, is back to return the punt. Brian Hansen. Fair catch called by Tim Brown. He grabs it at the 15-yard line. Time has been called. We're midway through the third quarter. Long, long night for the New York Jets.
Cast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New York Jets and the National Football League is prohibited.
37-10 with 7:14 to go, third quarter at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford. And Jeff Hostetler, who has thrown for 3 touchdowns tonight, is back in the cockpit. Handed off to Harvey Williams. Wilbur Marshall, number 58, makes the tackle and appears to have arrived in an angry mood.
Another good lead block by number 34, Derek Fenner. And there's Wayne Corbett. We just get word he has a bruised
knee.
Probably will return. But as I watch Fenner, number 34 for the Raiders, I always think about Bo Jackson and what could have been. I mean, Bo Jackson was number 34, and you know, they looked like they were going to have that guy that was going to replace Marcus Allen and just be a dynamic player. And when he got injured, I think that may have cost them at least a Super Bowl or two. And he was that kind of impact player.
Time has been called now. Derek Fenner and his teammates will get a bit of a rest, and we'll be back to the Meadowlands right after this. 6:34 remaining third quarter. Oakland leading at 37-10. And they're looking now to second down and 7. Backs split behind Hostetler. He'll hand it off in the sweep to Fenner. Wisniewski leads away, and that's good for a first down near the 28-yard line.
Jim Fossil, the quarterback coach of the Raiders, and you know, everywhere he has gone, and he actually had Hostetler for a while in New York, the quarterback's completion percentage had gone up. I mean, did it with John Elway, went way up. John Elway had some of his best years statistically under Jim Fossil, and with Jeff Hostetler's completion percentage 66% coming into tonight's ball game. That is his best by a long shot, and he said he's done it numerous times with different quarterbacks around the league.
And 14 of 21 tonight. 3 touchdowns, first and 10. Harvey Williams tries to get by Aaron Glenn, and Glenn drives him out of bounds. Yeah, we got another one going now. I think much of this is derived from frustration.
Yeah, if I were a Jet, I'd be frustrated too, Vern. 37-10. The Raiders have beaten them every which way.
Williams with 14 carries tonight, and you can smile about something like that when you've got a 27-point lead.
Yeah. You know, the Raiders, since Marcus Allen's big year in '85 when he had 1759, they're looking for a guy to be, you know, the load as a running back. A little kick at the end, that's what got it started, I think. Now, Harvey Williams may not, you know, be getting 17 or 1800 yards for them, but he is a very capable back. Oh, there's a face mask. And you combine him with Napoleon Kaufman, and that is a real good mix.
Time has been called. Aaron Glenn is being tended to on the far side. And while we've got a moment, let's take a look at the Coors Light scoreboard. Kansas City wins big in Arizona today. Pittsburgh, they had 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns in that game. And what a thrilling game that Miami-Cincinnati game was.
You kind of felt for David Shula, didn't you?
Yeah.
Boy, he had a chance to win that thing. How about Washington?
And Troy Aikman, in case you didn't hear, went out with a strained calf early in the game.
Marshall Faulk, 177 yards rushing today. A phenomenal afternoon.
If you're a field goal fan, you had to love this one. Gary Anderson kicked 5. If your name was Anderson today, you had a pretty good day kicking field goals.
5, yeah. A whole bunch of 5s for the Andersons.
Morton Anderson kicked 5.
Tampa Bay, an improved team.
2nd and 8. Williams does a good job of protecting the ball. He's down at the 35, 36-yard line. Victor Green gets mixed up with things. Marcus Turner is on now, number 23, at one of the corner spots. Aaron Glenn being treated on the bench.
You know, I'm surprised Marcus Turner didn't come in earlier, or Victor Green, and play for Vance Joseph. I mean, Marcus Turner, number 23 for the Jets, is a natural corner. And yet they just started Vance Joseph. He was burned badly, and yet they've hung in there with him.
3rd and 3. Hostetler looking left all the way, and Vance Joseph steps in front of the pass that was thrown low and behind Darryl Hobbs. It'll be 4th down.
I think the Jets need to take a chance or two, special teams wise, whatever. Maybe go for a block punt. I mean, 4:30 left in the third. They're going to have to make something, I think, happen on special teams. And there's their special teams coach, Ken Rose, who was a great special teams player himself. 6 times a special teams captain for various NFL teams.
Flag is down. Here's the Gossett punt. Dexter Carter chases it. It goes out of bounds.
When he directionally punts, I think he is much better, Vern, than when he punts the ball down the middle of the field. He said, you know, this year they got a little different style. They're asking him to punt the ball down the middle of the field more high. But that one he angled, and he's awfully good at that. I think that'll give him a first.
I think so.
Gossett wanted the punting yardage, but the offense will take the first down.
Right.
Offside, number 20 defense lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, which is enough for a first down.
Richie Anderson, who is kind of on the unfavored nations list anyway for a fumble in the end zone last week. TNT's NFL coverage continues next Sunday with the Coors Light Pro Football Tonight pregame show at 7. 8 o'clock, Denver takes on New England. That's next Sunday, right here on TNT.
People moving early.
Bring this one back.
You know, Vern, at the very beginning of this broadcast, we were talking about the Jets' mistakes. The Jets have been beating the Jets this year. That's why they're 1-3. Miscue after miscue. It happened again on that special teams play. They had them in a punting situation, and the penalty gives them a first down.
False start before the snap. Offensive right tackle. 5 yards. Still first down.
We mentioned, you know, we mentioned what happened coming in today, where they ranked. You know, there's 30 teams in the league, and the last or nearly last in all these categories. And tonight's game again, they've just made one mistake after another. Fumbled,
underlines
snaps.
the point.
Yeah.
Here's the toss to Napoleon Kaufman. Watch out.
Put him on the track team. Remember, Mike White said, hey, what we're really hoping from Napoleon Kaufman is that in the 4th quarter, when people start to get tired, you bring in a Napoleon Kaufman who has explosive speed. You think this guy, not a little scat back, but can change the game in the 4th quarter this year.
Out of California high schools, and then, of course, the University of Washington, the #1 pick. Listed at 5'8". Great speed. Aaron Glenn back in the lineup at left cornerback, comes up to play tight. They toss it to Kaufman. And he gains about 3, but he looks dangerous in gaining those 3, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. You know, he's not a small guy either, Kaufman. He is a guy that will stick it in the hole. And there's so many of these guys. And what did Jim Fossil say about him? He said he's kind of a cross between Glenn Milborn at Denver, whom he had, and Dave Meggett, whom he had when he was with the Giants. But he said he's faster than Meggett, and he's a lot stronger than Milburn.
2nd down and 8. 37-10 with 3:20 to go, 3rd quarter. Incomplete for Jet. Aaron Glenn, pretty good coverage.
And weren't you surprised when talking about Aaron Glenn or Richie Kotite was when he was talking about Aaron Glenn, saying he was the best corner he had ever seen, and he coached Eric Allen in Philadelphia.
And compared him to Eric Allen. He said, I don't mean any disrespect to Eric Allen, but this kid's better. Eric Allen's going to be angry. Aaron Glenn, out of Texas A&M, #1 pick last year.
Now, in years past, the last 3 years, they have forced the ball to Tim Brown on 3rd down.
Jett and Brown to the right side. This time they hand off inside to Harvey Williams. What a nifty run.
There were a lot of body parts moving on that run. Did you notice that? It wasn't just his feet and legs. His neck, his shoulders, his eyes, his hands, everything were moving. I mean, a 3rd and 8. It's a real change of pace. A big block by Fenner again, number 34, right there. And terrific vision. And then, boy, he's got some change of direction speed. And these guys they're dangerous.
29-yard gain for Williams. He's got 80 yards on 15 carries now. And the Raiders are threatening again.
Yeah, one thing, though, I think Mike White needs to be thinking about with about 2 minutes left in this 3rd quarter. If they score again, I'm saying get your guys out of there. A lot of your guys, your key guys. Get Hostetler out. I mean, I'd get some of the wide receivers out. Bring in old Vince Evans.
Good. What are you saying? Evans is cannon fodder? What is this? Huh?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Hey, that's what the backup quarterbacks are supposed to do.
Go in and get
your turn, Vince. Your turn.
Yo, Vince.
Actually, I am saying you're a cannon fodder.
Yeah. You can't gussy this one up. Here's the handoff. Oh, Vince is going to love you for this. Your former teammate.
Yeah.
That's Southern Cal.
The first time I met Vince, or one of the first times I met Vince, believe it or not, this
Roosevelt
guy was,
administration?
He was, yeah, that's it, a sharp dresser, but he had shoes, this is no lie,
right,
that had goldfish in the heels.
Nah.
No, they had little water things in them, and live goldfish in the heels of his shoes.
Where do you resole shoes like that?
I don't know, but, you know, he's calmed down his...
now we're back to what wine goes with halibut.
What goes with goldfish.
Now that I know. Ripple comes to mind. Hostetler's down. Matt Brock gets the sack.
Oh, boy.
Well, when it's 37-10, your imagination gets stretched or broken.
But you know, for the Jets, it's going to be another ugly Monday.
Yep.
But give Matt Brock and some guys on defense who don't quit. And there are guys like this in the league every week who are on the inferior teams that just keep playing hard and playing hard and playing hard. And Matt Brock did right there.
Cole Ford for the extra point. I mean, the field goal. It's up and good. And the score goes to 40-10.
And, you know, for the Jets, might be time to see a little bit of Glenn Foley.
Our overhead coverage tonight, courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. On board tonight, Captain Dick Esch from Pompano Beach, Florida, and cameraman Bob Rosedale.
Just ending the season. Well, got a long way to go. As a he's wearing his number 99. I love these guys.
Came up from New Orleans. Oh, the guy blew it. He wanted to go incognito, and he took the.
They know now.
Took the thing off while he was on camera. 76-yard drive in 13 plays.
My kid say send money. This kid's saying send help.
And Cole Ford to kick off. Dexter Carter and Ron Carpenter are deep. It's getting lonely in here. Carter. Still going. Out to the 35, 36-yard line.
Hey, Vern, you know, say what you will about Vance Joseph and the kind of night that he has had. He is, A, he was happy that this ball didn't get thrown. But B, after this play, a smile still comes on his face. And I commend him for that, in spite of a difficult evening. Saying, hey, I finally got you this time, Darrell.
Been a tough one. First down and 10. Boomer Esiason still in the quarterback. Blitz coming. Flags are down. Pass incomplete. It was tipped.
Boy, did I see a bunch of tip balls today. I mean, Steve Young had a bunch tipped. More and more prevalent. We saw some last week in Jacksonville. And I bet you I've seen 5 or 6 a game.
That'll be a motion call against the Jets. Vince Evans loosening up the old limb.
16th year in the NFL. Only 36 starts in those 16 years. But
offense, 2 men moving, both not resetting.
A long touchdown pass to Darryl Hobbs a week ago. I think it was over 50 yards, 54 yards, I believe it was. He has always been a phenomenally strong and gifted player.
In the league in parts of 3 decades now. Second and 10. Gravette in motion. Esiason, Andre Bruce.
Boy, jailbreak. It's unfair. It's been unfair for Vance Joseph, and it's been unfair right now for Boomer Esiason. We have a bunch of sacks tonight, 4 on Esiason this evening. And Andre Bruce, number 99, his second of the evening, as he powers through Hasselrig, which is saying something when you're powering through Hasselrig. Boomer has no chance. And the cleanup by Anthony Smith.
Time has been called. 40-10. End of 3. Here since they were the Los Angeles Raiders and made this visit in 1989. That was Art Shell's first game as the head coach. Technically, this is the first time the Oakland Raiders have played in this facility. Last time they were here as the Oakland Raiders was 79, and the game was at Shea Stadium. Here's Esiason. Dropped by Wilson at the 50-yard line.
You know, Boomer Esiason's an easy target in this city, but he's had about 4 or 5 passes that should have been caught that were dropped. And that was another one. And that was a 3rd and forever, and they would have had a first down.
Brian Hansen on the punt. Tim Brown back to return it. Fair catch made at the 19-yard line. And we have one of those ubiquitous pieces of yellow down. Vince Evans getting ready to come on, but first we've got Gordon McCarter wants a little airtime here.
These are the games you like to fast forward through the rest of the game for your head coach and just get ready for the next one. You know, there's not a lot of positives that Richie Kotite has for his team after this one.
And of course the Jets have yet to score in the 4th quarter of any game this season. So
oh, thanks for all the hope.
Ineligible downfield, number 84 kicking team. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
So they'll make the trek back and repunt.
And you know, Vern, for Boomer Esiason, you know, a guy in his 12th year, you know, this was supposed to be a team when he came here 3 years ago that was on the rise. They are not. And to me, for a guy in his 12th year with maybe a few years left, I know it's his hometown, but if he wants the most out of his football career, this is not the place for him.
Well, and he said to us yesterday, I'm not ready for a broadcasting booth because he'll be terrific at that when it happens. But he said nothing I've found can replace the thrill of the playing, what this feels like.
But everybody wants to win a championship, and it's not going to happen, I think, in his career here.
Right. He is in the last year of his contract here.
I think he's going to have to make a decision, and the Jets are going to have to make a decision about where he plays next year. It's going to be a tough one.
The officiating crew marked the penalty in the wrong direction, so they've figured it out.
Even Gordon's getting a little smile out of that one.
And we're back to punt again. Brian Hansen. Tim Brown has moved up to the 35. Fair catch at the 35-yard line. When we return to the Meadowlands, Vince Evans will come on at quarterback. 1:05 remaining in a game between the Jets and the Raiders in Oakland. NBC left the game to air the children's movie Heidi on the East Coast. What the viewers missed was an amazing comeback as Oakland scored 2 touchdowns in the last 42 seconds of the game, and they beat the New York Jets 43-32. However, the Jets came back and defeated Oakland that same year in the championship game and went on to take on Baltimore, won the Super Bowl, Super Bowl III. Might not be a bad programming idea.
Yeah. It's good to, what is it?
Police Academy 3. Get that thing stoked up, guys. Warm up the reels. We got 14:38 to go in this one. Vince Evans is the new quarterback. Hugh Douglas, number 99, made the tackle on this one.
He is the new old quarterback.
Yes, that's right.
You know, as nice as it is to see Vince come in and play, you think, though, maybe Billy Joe Hobart. I know he's the third-team quarterback, and you have to order him 1, 2, and 3. The young guy, they'd want to give some experience. They think Hobart might be the guy of the future, but if Vince is in the game, and he played well last week, a long touchdown pass to Darryl Hobbs, and even though he's 40 years old, and Vince is, he can still play, and he has got a live arm.
Eric Ball comes in at fullback. He's the short back in front of Kaufman. 40-10. Kaufman out to the 42-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and 5. James Jett hurries on. Oakland goes back home next week to take on Seattle. Then they're at Denver. Mike White said he is having more fun in his first year as an NFL head coach. He coached 2 different spots as a head coach in the collegiate ranks at California and at Illinois.
Well, you know, he coached 37 years before he finally got his head coaching job in the NFL as a head coach. He deserved it a lot sooner.
Eric Ball. And that'll be 4th down.
We're just finishing the thought up on Mike White. You know, this is basically the same Raider team a year ago that many people, myself included, picked to go and win the Super Bowl, and they were underperformers a year ago. He has got these guys playing at a very high level, and you know, injuries play such a large part. Who knows what will happen with the injuries? If they play like this and have guys healthy, they're as good as anybody.
On 4th down, here's Jeff Gossett. That's a dandy punt. Dexter Carter at the 10. Carter gets it back to the 20-yard line. Carl Kidd, number 46, downfield to make the tackle. Time has been called. 12:32 remaining in this one. On the season, they have a 30-point lead with 12.5 remaining in this one. And we hear a lot about the successful teams over the last 2.5 decades. The 49ers, the Cowboys with their division titles. The Jets, of course, won that Super Bowl III, one of the most historic Super Bowl victories ever. But look down at the bottom. No division titles since then. That's one reason why Jet fans are referred to as long-suffering. Esiason gets rid of it, but then the ball is it complete? Dropped. Charles Wilson, the intended receiver.
Well, we got an old Jet from the 1968 Super Bowl team. John Dockery working the game here for CBS Radio. He was a guy that, remember, he said, I missed the Heidi game with an injury.
Right, and was reminding us that in Super Bowl III, he played both offense and defense.
He was the 4th leading receiver on the team that year.
And a 5th defensive back. Here's Esiason and LaFleur. And we told him before the game tonight that if this thing went south, he was going to get on camera. So a little FaceTime for the doc.
Well, Brad Baxter, that guy right there, number 30, I think if the Jets are going to have, any kind of season this year, this is a guy that they have to find a bigger role for. Brad Baxter, primarily has been a lead blocker for them, a pass protector, a good short yardage runner, but their long runs this year, I think, are not going to come from speed like the Raiders. They're going to come from broken tackles, and Brad Baxter can break some tackles.
2nd down and 8. Blitz coming. Esiason behind Corbett.
Well, Brad Baxter picked up somebody there on that blitz.
And Boomer's talking to Corbett.
40,
mix up on the route.
Yeah, 40-10. I think you take Boomer Esiason out. He has nothing left to prove in his 12th season. He is going to take a shot to the legs. Robbins goes low, and I'd bring somebody else in. I really would. Bubby Brister's their backup.
3rd and 8.
And there's something about a quarterback wanting to finish what you start, but now you're down by 30.
He goes deep right side. This one is caught and then dropped and picked up. And here comes Mike Jones of the Oakland Raiders. Still running. Still running. Touchdown.
Incredible. Well, Mike Jones was a running back in college. He is a converted linebacker. And John Fox, the defensive coordinator, was saying, hey, this guy's really come on. But let's go back to the reception by Wayne Corbett, number 80. This was a pretty good catch to begin it. Fights through some traffic, goes up and catches it, takes the hit, the strip there by the defensive back Mustafa, and then Mike Jones picks it up. And then there's a whole host of Raiders out there trying to help him get along. Beekert gives him a block, and then he does a lot. He remembered those days as a running back, didn't he?
And the number of yards he traveled equals his jersey number. A 52-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Mike Jones. There's been far too much consolation going on the Jet bench tonight to ease any of the pain. Oakland after the 52-yard fumble return for a TD from Mike Jones. Bubby Brister getting ready to come on. Backup quarterback. Last year in Philadelphia. And prior to that, of course, in Pittsburgh. Ron Carpenter, Dexter Carter a deep. Cole Ford's kick taken by Dexter Carter. Out to the 42-yard line. Tackle is made by Bruce Pickens, number 39. Well, 3 turnovers tonight for Richie Kotite and the New York Jets. NFL leaders in takeaways.
Yeah. Raiders 15, scored 2 touchdowns on turnovers last week, 1 tonight, and then the giveaways. Jets 17. The Steelers lead the pack at 18. Steelers only had 1 today. But the Jets defense has now scored 3 touchdowns this season thus far. 1 tonight, 2 last week.
Boomer Esiason for the night, 15 of 30, 171. Sacked 4 times, 1 fumble. Brad Baxter gets the handoff, and he gets it out to the 47-yard line near that logo in the middle of the field. I've been coming here. The first year, I think, was 76. And see the logo in the New Jersey map? Here's tonight's trivia question. This is fourth quarter material. Trivia question. What do the 4 stars stand for in the map of New Jersey? Huh?
San Luis Obispo. That was the answer last week.
No, that was Cal Poly Pomona.
Oh, that's right.
I'll give you a little time to think about this. You can do any research you want. 4 stars. What do they represent? I do have the answer.
Change.
Pass is incomplete.
Ask me a bunch of questions you don't know the answer to.
I have in my hand here the amazing Kreskin. Okay. You ready for this? See that star at the top?
Yes.
Got to circle that. See that guy right there?
Yep.
That is the Meadowlands Complex in East Rutherford, New Jersey. That one right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, Right here.
Yep.
Number 2?
Yeah, what's that one?
That is the Monmouth Park Racetrack.
Ooh,
you know that?
I was guessing that was a 3rd star.
We're going to save the 3rd and 4th for the next play.
There you go. Oh, you're useful.
2 down, 2 to go.
Can I borrow you for my Christmas party?
As long as I'm on your gift list. 3rd down into the flat. Morrell. Out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Well,
okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Okay, here we go. You ready? Now, this is number 3.
Yep.
Right.
We got bodies in the way. There.
Oh, no. Come on, fellas. There we go.
There,
number 3, right there. That's the aquarium.
Okay. All right. That's one of my favorite spots.
Aquarium in Camden.
Boy, a bunch of guys squishing some fish there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
They got goldfish in their shoes. Number 4, right there. Huh?
Okay.
Number 4. That's the Convention Hall in Atlantic City.
Now, tell me now why they're starred.
I have the answer to that, too. Hey, I am a full-service bank. Nice punt. Nice bounce. Down at the 2. And we have a flag down there near the aquarium.
Now, I'm really impressed that you knew those 4, but I'm really going to be impressed if you can tell me why they have those there.
As soon as we give Gordon McCarty some airtime, I'll let you know.
Must be a long answer.
No, I don't want to disrupt it. There we go. The 4 stars. Heretofore unknown stars.
Certainly by me.
5 receiving team during the kick. The penalty will be enforced from the spot where possession change. 1st down.
And the answer is the stars on the New Jersey map represent the facilities that are run by the New Jersey Sports Exhibition Authority.
I thought
only
it was a
on
much
this broadcast.
better answer than that.
Only on this broadcast.
Big deal.
At the Meadowlands, Oakland leading at 47-10, and they are backed up at their own 1-yard line. Now that we've informed you about the stars in the New Jersey map, I'm thinking back, a friend of mine whom you know, longstanding, Joe Cash, back in Dallas. Joe worked with me doing NFL games for years. He kept trying to get me to get that on the air.
Really?
And Patrick finally did. Yeah.
I hope it's the last time, Vern.
I thought it was scintillating.
I hope it's the last time we have time for it.
But then I have a very boring life. I don't know guys who wear goldfish in their heels.
Well, there's the guy who's playing quarterback right now.
1st down and 10.
That's a true story.
He's going to love you for bringing it up. And they move the ball out. Napoleon McCallum does, or Napoleon Kaufman.
There you go.
Thank you. Now out to the 7-yard line.
Well, he is a strong player, a finisher. You know, the thing about Napoleon Kaufman, if they can get him going in the passing game, I think he really is going to be a threat. It's Robert Jenkins.
Robert Jenkins, the left tackle.
Remember, they have
on. And Jenkins will get some medical attention on the bench. Kaufman moves it out to the 10-yard line.
Hey, I think congratulations are in order to our erstwhile audio man, Victor Victoria, up here. He and his beautiful wife celebrated the birth of Rachel Marissa Victoria this past week. He just handed me It's a Girl candy cane. You see the ingredients in this thing? It says pure sugar, cream of tartar, certified food coloring, and oil of peppermint. Thanks for looking after my health, Victor. I appreciate that. Well, congratulations.
Congratulations, Vic.
Nice ingredients, huh?
Oil of tartar, cream of tartar. We can't get away from fish tonight, can we? Here's Kaufman. Out to the 16-yard line.
AFC team to win a Super Bowl in 1983, and Jim Plunkett was the quarterback of that Raider team, and now an announcer for Raider broadcast. There he is. We've got to put the headsets on there, though, Jim.
Jim, you're on the air.
Yeah.
Jim. Jim.
There he goes. Now he knows he's on. There he goes. But boy, was he a player. And we're talking about a guy getting his career resurrected by the Raiders.
Yes.
Remember? I mean, he was beaten up so badly with the Patriots. His career was virtually over. The Raiders pick him up, and then one season he didn't play one down for the Raiders. They put him on the bench, let him kind of recover, The next year, he led him to his first of 2 Super Bowls. So he had a terrific career both at Stanford and certainly with the Raiders. Former Heisman Trophy winner for the then Indians. That's now the Cardinals.
See?
Yeah,
you got a full bucket.
Hey, babe. Just in case you needed it.
I'm worried about Jim not having that headset on.
Yeah.
He's working with Joel Myers over there, and Joel's carrying the load here. 47-10. And Joel doesn't know what those stars represent.
I'm glad I do now.
2:50 to go in this one.
Raiders have some good young linebackers. That time it was James Folston, number 55. You're looking at Aaron Wallace, number 51. Folston's had a couple of nice plays. Had a sack of Esiason, or certainly a big hit on him. There's Holmberg. Good team with depth. And in this marathon of an NFL season, you need some depth. They have it in the defensive line. They certainly have it at linebacker.
3rd and 11. Mister almost picked off by Holmberg. It'll be 4th down. And Brian Hansen comes on to punt.
I'm not sure where Richie goes with this team, Vern. I mean, I really don't know what you can do when you don't have a game breaker. I mean, they're going to maybe had trading deadlines coming up. Somebody's, I think they're going to need somebody in the wide receiving category.
Right.
Get the game open.
Hansen's punt over Tim Brown. And that will go into the end zone, touch back, and come out to the 20-yard line. As we near the 2-minute warning, we've got 2:05 remaining in this one. Well, we stay back east a week from tonight. We'll be up at 5 years ago when ABC took a shot during an Oakland-Houston game of a guy like this in the Astrodome, right? And they got a surprise.
Yeah,
the guy woke up.
And we're number 1.
And yes, he indicated his
team was number 1. Yeah.
Meredith caught that one. And the trouble is that guy's flight leaves in an hour. 1:20 to go. $216 yards rushing tonight for the Oakland Raiders.
Well, I'll tell you, AFC, watch out for these Raiders. So much of it depends upon the health of your quarterback in particular, and everybody has that same risk. But this is a team that can go all the way.
Executive producer of Turner Sports, Mike Pearl. The NFL on TNT is produced by Peter Lasser and directed by Lonnie Dale. Pro Football Tonight produced by Tim Kiley, and the coordinating director is Larry Cam. Our host producer Ken Noland, replay producer Jeff Benke, technical director Dennis Stone, the associate directors Gary Nicholas and Joe Vencius, the senior unit managers Stephanie Bradley, the graphics Ted Ballard and CJ Batita, the spotter Nancy Lundquist, and the stats David Yagi. Shannon Mizell, world's greatest stage
You
manager.
got it.
Mike White and the Oakland Raiders, 47-10. They win this one. That makes that 5.5-hour trip back west much more palatable.
He's going to enjoy that Chardonnay.
No, he's going to have some Pinot Grigio. Tim Brown, the player of the game, 9 receptions, 156 yards. He is our Cadillac player of the game with an average of 17.3, 2 touchdowns, and a couple of punt returns that were also